I'll second that.
There's a motion on the table from Commissioner McClellan and a second from Commissioner Hazelhorst. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That would be 3-0. Is there anyone here that's not on the order of business that would like to come up and say anything? Doesn't look like anybody's jumping. Okay. Any questions about the monthly financial report?
I had no questions.
Dean, do you have any questions about that? Commissioner Hazelhorst?
I did not have any either, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for getting that to us. Now we'll go on to the monthly departmental report. Any comments or questions on that?
As usual, I think they were put very well together, but I had no questions.
Commissioner? Look like you're looking for something.
Yes,
so
I'm looking for
we'll give you a chance to get to it.
Well, I had some questions about some of the things the health department had investigations on. Now, I understand that. After I talked to Phil about it, I think they put it together very well. We got the reminder of September 26th to have a planning commission meeting, and it looks like the poor sign guy's been very busy, but there was only one shot up this time. How about that? So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, and I'm grateful for them as well and thankful that everyone did this. All right, if there isn't anything else on that, we'll move on, and we'll move on to the extension report with horticultural agent Rip Winkle.
Hello, for the sake of the gentleman on the, my name is Rip Winkle, and I'm the Hort agent with the Cottonwood Extension.
Okay.
And I'd just like to briefly highlight some of the things. I haven't been here for a couple months, so I'll just briefly
I'd like to make sure you come back every once in a while.
It's a deal. Part of my job, a great amount of it, is answering phone calls. We have a lot of walk-ins, and we have emails, which are actually starting to increase somewhat, which I like that idea. Here to date, I've had 385 that I've answered one way or another, or have tried to resolve
Excellent.
issues. There was also the Ellis County Fair, which you all know, but we had a great time. It was a success. The Master Gardeners and I had our hands full with the vegetable and fruit entries, as well as the floriculture the next day entries, and it went really well. Then there was the continued weekly radio sessions and also the weekly newspaper articles that I've been writing since, I'd say, I think March or April when I started writing them. Still going strong every week for the Hayes area. And let's see, working with the Ellis County Master Gardeners in the planting, managing, and preparing their weekly vegetable, not weekly, but their vegetable trials and the backyard garden. We had to harvest some of that. We planted and managed it, and then we had to do a lot of harvesting. We've had squash coming out every which way. But,
That's why everyone locks their truck this time of year.
Yeah, I tell you what. Anyways, but we prepared them and they had a great success at the Hort night. I believe it was a week ago. And then there was this sessions conducted in the horticultural advanced training, by which the Master Gardeners have to attain so many hours of advanced training. And so I'm doing these classes, I'm conducting these classes on the last 3 or 4 Wednesday evenings, where they can come in and we'll review topics such as wildlife control, tree and shrub care, and woody ornamentals, and they can get credit by watching these programs that's put out by KSU on DVD. And lastly, I was fortunate or privileged to participate as a judge, as a horticultural judge down at the State Fair in Hutchinson.
Oh, good.
So that was kind of a kick in the rear. So, anyways, that's
First time?
Yes, it was my first time.
That's
as
good.
a judge and at the State Fair. So.
Excellent. Excellent. Did you have any questions?
No. My thumb is black, so I don't grow anything.
Well, come on down to our advanced
Yeah,
training.
that's right.
We'll turn it green.
You think that would help?
Heck yeah. Heck
What
yeah.
is the most common question you get? Is there a common theme? I mean, of all the things that you've answered this year, is there a
Actually,
thread through that?
It depends on what time of the summer season. It's really weird. You'll go into one week and there's one topic that's predominant, and then the next week that will phase out and another one will start in. And right now it's brown patch in grasses.
Okay.
Had a very interesting one today. This individual called in, said that the tracks where the person that mowed her yard, tracks are dying, and she wants to know it was grubs or fungus. I said fungus and grubs don't kill grass in lines.
In lines.
So I talked with her, and she's going to have to send me pictures, or I'm going to have to go out and look at it, because
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. It's a mystery, and that's the fun part about the job.
Well, good. All right. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you all.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the solid waste exemptions. And so I'm sorry, Dean, did you have any questions for our extension agent, Rip Winkle? Dean, did you have any questions for Mr. Winkle? I guess he doesn't. I'm not sure if he's there. All right. Go ahead, Bill.
Good evening, Commissioners. Bill Ring, Public Works Director. I have with me tonight Vern Reuter, landfill foreman, as well as Mr. Jim Hunter-Garten, who is what precipitated coming back to you about this, the works and volunteers at the ARC.
Okay.
You have before you with the agenda item, and I attached to
Right.
that the latest policy. In '03 in June, the commissioners, and I didn't figure I would burden you with all the pages, but
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
they had taken a policy that was written in 1998, and then they changed it into a resolution in June, and then by July, they undid the resolution, and as you see at the top of the policy, they created a policy and they added it to the policy book. Anyway, since that time, it hasn't been reviewed and or looked at. I know Commissioner Wassinger, you're big at looking, but it's, again, until Jim came to us about it, and then he had a request about being able to do similar that other nonprofits are doing, and both the county administrator and I discussed it, and the fact that it was done by commission action in a policy, we felt that
That had to
it
come
should
back.
come back to you guys, at least to give us guidance or a directive or give us the authority, whichever.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at. Some of the things to consider is which agencies you would like to allow to do that. Would you like to cap an amount? And I'm just throwing, we had numerous
No,
meetings
I
about
saw
this.
that. Yeah.
That there would be a cap that they could bring X dollars over the course of a year. It doesn't matter, just things like that. And then a thing to keep in mind is that with municipal waste, or what we call MW, we have an inherent cost because it costs us approximately 2/3 of what we would normally collect, because we have to pay to ship it to
Right.
Garden City. And then we pay tipping fees at the scale down there. So if we take it in for free, it's costing us some dollars.
See that.
Vern was able to reach out to some other transfer stations just to see how they handle it, and both, he got responses back from Harvey County and Riley County, who both operate transfer stations, and they don't have a subtitle D where they would bury it, and they don't give anybody a break, not even a church or a Goodwill, or so. Anyway, those are some of the things that we would like to consider. The citywide cleanups are also in that policy, which we've been pretty well able to work with the City of Hayes, City of Victoria, City of Ellis through that. There are a few minor things that probably need to be tweaked.
Okay.
We also are going to recommend that, and we've done this, is that anyone that does have an exemption will provide us with and keep a current list so we know.
Who's
Because there has
coming
been
in.
some times that if somebody knows that the XYZ nonprofit can dump for free, well, they come out on Saturday and, our people don't know all the.
No, of
So
course not.
if it's not one of the right people, and we'll have a list with their name and their signature, so they can ask and say, well, they don't know who they are, and then verify that. If not, we will call and seek verification from an authorized person on the list. And then we also will speak to all the different participants, should we continue with the program, that the city of Hayes has a beautiful recycling facility directly across the street from us. So there's many items that probably, and citizens should do that anyway,
Right.
but the cardboards, the glass, the plastics, et cetera, that they can take it right across the street and what they have left. And that also brings to mind, Habitat for Humanity was given an authorization. Well, in the construction process, you would assume that they would be bringing in a lot of construction debris, and actually what came in was municipal waste. Again, we took it in for free, but we're paying to get it out. Well, it probably is a lack of separation. So we, again, would, put it back on the people coming in, that if they do want to do, if we do something, that, they need to separate prior to, because we don't
Bringing
have
it all
the
in, right.
facility, we don't
To
have the
take care of
people
it, yeah.
to take care of that. So that is kind of the overriding concept. I do have some other information about the if you've got some specific questions about what has come in. I gave you a basic dollar amount, so overall it's not a lot, but we do want to consider, or at least have you consider, the different choices we can make.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea. Definitely it needs to be revisited, because some of these agencies aren't even the correct name and so
Well,
forth.
Homer
And-
Reed, we know is
yeah,
developmental services.
And, things like that. So I think it would be good to have another policy, and I also like the idea of providing authorized personnel that are can dump, because I know human beings, they know their so-and-so is going to take it, they'll just go right out there and they'll just dump it and say it's for this person, for this agency. You can't trust people too much.
I would request that I could have Mr. Huntergarden come up for a minute and explain what their concerns are from the ARC, though, as long as he
No,
can.
and I understand. Jim, if you let me see if I can get Dean to comment, if he wants to make any comments. You come on up. Dean. Commissioner Hazelhorst? Okay.
Does that also include schools, Bill, or not?
No. On the
Does
current
not.
policy,
I
there are
didn't know
no
if they
schools
fell under
listed.
the nonprofit or not.
It says USD 489.
Let's say USD 489 on here.
Okay, that would strictly be for a cleanup. That's it. There's two
Oh,
parts. There's
cleanup
part-
events. I see what you're saying.
Part
Okay.
one is the top, which is basically a daily occurrence, and part two would
two
be
would
the
be
various cleanups
cleanups.
that
Okay.
take place.
Okay.
All right. Well, my thought as I'm looking at this, I agree with the commissioners, Commissioner McClellan, that it needs to be revisited. And I'll let you speak in just a second, Jim, but I think it makes sense to make it more of a general statement instead of highlighting exactly. I mean, we'd have a list of exactly that the landfill would have an authorized list there. And then with volunteer organizations, I think, such as the ARC, we're talking about $2,500 in 18 months. We're not talking about a tremendous amount of money. But I think, particularly with the skill level that you all have and Vern has, that if you need to have a list at the landfill with authorized names and telephone numbers, but include volunteer organizations and and not have to continue to change the policy or update that, as long as you just keep a list of who you're dealing with the county administrator.
So, to understand what I think I'm hearing from you is that you would defer the decision who can do that to the department?
Basically, yes, but within parameters.
Okay.
How's that
I
sound?
think
Does
between the
that-
county
does that sound-
administrator and myself, that's what we've talked
I
about,
think-
and when Jim approached us about this, we wanted to be able to offer some assistance, but with the
Absolutely.
policy that says that y'all are gonna do it.
Just you and you can bring waste, but you can't. And I think in order to encourage our volunteer organizations to continue to do the amazing job that they do, that we can facilitate their ability to use the landfill as we have with other organizations. But Jim, please come up and give us your name and who you're with. And
My name is Jim Hintergard. I'm currently the board president for the Arc of Central Plains Arc Thrift Store. What facilitated this was stuff that was being left at our back door. We have done our very best to be a firm believer in recycling, recycle every possible thing we can, take stuff out. What we can't move is the ones that dump off the mattresses, large chairs and couches, old dilapidated tables. Those take extra effort and time to find someone with a pickup in order to haul those out. We know just inherent from our business that we're going to get a lot of donations that go to the dumpster. Increased the size of our dumpster. Our cost right now increased from $165 to $225 a month. But from the stuff as it goes through, as we emphasize, we do look at everything possible to recycle so it doesn't go to landfill. So it's those big items that get dumped off that we can't do anything with, or it's just trash that we're asking about.
okay, and I also agree that there needs to be the caveat that things be separated prior to bringing them to the landfill. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask people to do that in order to help our landfill not become overburdened as well. So I appreciate your coming and bringing it to our attention, and thank you, Bill.
I do too. I agree wholeheartedly that we need to revisit this and come up with a better.
I think you've already thought of it. Between the two of you, just get it on paper and then bring it back and we'll
Yes.
take care of you. How does that sound? Good?
Okay.
All right. Commissioner Hazelhurst, are you still there? Do you want to make any comments? Let the record show that I've asked him many times for comments and he has declined to comment. Okay.
And one more item,
Yes, sir.
just to update you, you saw by the email that I provided that we had a bridge hit yesterday.
Oh, my goodness. I was just there.
Were you in Antonino?
Huh? I was all through. And we were talking about how fast people were driving down the road and how careful we were.
So anyway,
Oh, my goodness. They're so lucky to be alive.
that's correct. 80 miles an hour. Their father had an application on his phone to track the kid. So we know exactly what the speed was. But anyway,
Oh,
the
busted.
bridge is damaged. The car is insured. I have contacted Penco Engineering, who does a lot of our bridge work. They will be out tomorrow morning to inspect the bridge, do a quick overview, and determine which direction we need to take as far as either repair, replace, or a combination on that rail that was broken off the west side of the bridge.
And they both walked away?
They both walked away. I talked to both kids, and no, not a scratch.
Not a scratch.
Well, thank goodness for airbags
Airbags,
as well.
yeah.
That's a,
And I'm assuming that since they survived and the dad had the application, the son was not choked, or we would have heard from
Not in front of law
the Ellis County attorney. Yeah, oh,
I'm sure.
that
it
might
was-
have been a rough. The gratefulness that they're alive.
Yes.
That's what we need to concentrate on.
And that's every accident I've ever gone to over all my years, is that's the best thing when
Always.
everybody walks away. But we still have to preach safety, and you cannot drive county roads at the speed just because the statute says 55. That's not what you should drive. That's the max you can drive. So
Right.
drive to condition. So anyway, so that will be taken care of, and I will keep everyone updated as to what the process with the insurance company, because as you know, our bridges are not insured. So it would either be, hopefully they're much the same as the bridge we had in Ellis that they drove through, that was solved fairly quickly once
Right.
their insurance company got involved. If we can do the same, then we can get right through it and then hopefully
Good.
not have to litigate it. So, but
I
I will keep you
would
updated.
not like to do that, so, but
Thank you.
thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to the resolution on Employee Wage and Benefits Committee.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes. This is the next chapter in our continuing dialogue about winding down our relationship with represented employee union groups. As part of your commission's follow-up to adoption of resolution number 2017-15, you expressed a desire to have continued employee input into wage and benefit decisions in the future. We talked a little bit about how that would happen and ultimately decided to defer formation of a committee to closer to the end of this year, give the Policy Review Committee time to complete its work. That committee did complete its work, and you adopted that policy last week, so it is time to pick up the discussion about formation of a Wage and Benefits Committee. Before you tonight, I have a draft resolution. We talked about formation of this committee by resolution so that it becomes essentially a standing committee and not just something that would fade away. We talked a little bit about membership, and I believe that this sort of covers the groups of membership that we had discussed. I think maybe the commission envisioned a little bit of a larger committee, but given our recent experience with Policy Review Committee and the difficulty of getting folks
All together at
the same time, I'm recommending to you a 5-member committee rather than a larger committee that is consistent with the size, at least, of the committee that the city of Hayes has as well. So this is my first stab at this, and if you want to give me additional direction, we can come back, or if this works, we can go ahead and adopt this resolution and go on to an election process. But I'd be happy to answer questions.
Commissioner?
I don't have any questions. I think it's pretty well written. I was pleased to see them come back with it this quickly so that we could look at it, and I think they have done their job.
Okay. I think we might have lost a commissioner, but Commissioner, Hazelhurst, are you there? Okay. I think it looks good, and you can certainly change it if you go through a year and think this is not working.
Shall we
We
go
got to
ahead and
switch
vote
it.
on it
So we need a motion.
Okay. I move that the commission adopt resolution 2018-11 for the addressing wage and benefit committee, I guess.
Yes. And I'll second that. There's a motion on the table from Commissioner McClellan, and there's a second from Commissioner Wassinger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
We both look at the phone.
I think he's might have moved out of service, so, because
Could
all
have
of a sudden it got very deathly quiet, so. All right, county councilor reports.
County Councilor Bill Jeter. I need probably a 10-minute executive session tonight to discuss 2 matters of attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
Thank you.
And County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. County Administrator Philip Smith-Haynes. 2 items for this evening. First, I just wanted to bring to the Commission's attention the fact that I have received an amended contract with Spangenberg Phillips Tice Architects regarding the parking lot. As you will recall, they had costed out the first proposal, and it was significantly more than we were anticipating. Right. So we've gone back and said, can you scale that back and do some other things? And so they've submitted me a proposal to do that, but it's the combination of the past work and the new work is approaching my authorization limit, so I just wanted to bring that to the Commission to
fair enough.
To make sure you're aware of that. And then the second item was we have had conversations. The Commission, of course, recently adopted your new employee recognition policy. At the executive team meeting, we started having a conversation on whether we would like to do a holiday get-together like was done last fall. Our cook from last year requested a little more advance notice this year if we wanted to do that. So
that was the meat back there, yes.
Yes. So
picky.
In discussions with the executive team, we're thinking maybe December 9th as a target date. So I'll just throw that out for the Commission, and if you have any conflicts, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll start working and see if the fairgrounds is available that day. So.
Is that a Sunday?
It is, yes.
I don't know if that was heard. That's a Sunday. And that was what was asked. I don't know if anybody heard Bill, because you turn your microphone away and you kind of whisper it. So it might be a little interesting to other people. Okay. Sounds good to me.
It sounds okay to me.
Okay. All right.
If it's up to you and I, we'll do it.
All right. County Commission reports. The first one I want to give is it was too staticky. The Commissioner Hazelhurst is waiting for executive session because he couldn't hear it all. That's why he kind of dropped off. So we're gonna get back in touch. And he'll be back on, I think, to close the meeting. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Commission reports. I guess we attended the inauguration of the president of Fort Hays last Friday.
It was lovely.
Which was a very, very nice ceremony. I was glad they invited us, and felt fortunate to have someone come back that had been here before. So, and that's all I had.
Right. It was great. It was a great community celebration.
It wasn't. Nice.
She made it really not about her, which was really refreshing. It was lovely. I just have a KAC meeting this week, and that's it. We have an executive session called for.
Yes. How many minutes for the second one? 20. Okay. I've got both motions. I move the Commission recess into executive session along with County Administrator Philip Smith-Haynes and County Councilor Bill Jeter to discuss pending litigation which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, KSA 75-4319B2, with the executive session to begin at 5:32 and end at 5:42.
I second.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And by virtue of a text message, I think that was 3.
Okay.
Because he says he's going to be right there. So.
Okay. I move the Commission recess into executive session along with County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes and County Councilor Bill Jeter to discuss the County Administrator's evaluation pursuant to the Open Meetings Act exception for personnel matters of non-elected personnel, KSA 75-4319B1, with the executive session to begin at 5:42 and end at 6:02 for 20 minutes. Okay?
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay.
I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. We will see you in about 30 minutes. Finished with executive sessions, no action was taken. I move we go back into executive session for the reasons, exemptions for the non-elected personnel matters for another 10 minutes.
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll go back into executive session for 10 more minutes and we'll be back. From executive session, no action was taken. Is there any further business to conduct? If not, I'll adjourn the meeting. It is 6:20 p.m. There we go. Thank you, everyone.